Tape marker, magazine dreams review, guys. What's going on, Alamo City Movie Talk fans? As always, I'm your host, Ryan D, aka Ryan680.
I'm Angela Dakarianj.
And this is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. Thank you so much for making this a part of your day. You know what to do, guys. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to us on our Alamo City Movie Talk page. And thank you for making us a part of your day. But let's get right to it. Angela, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about magazine dreams. So it's an amateur bodybuilder battles both the limits of his physical body and his inner demons to gain recognition. And I know this is starring Jonathan Majors. I know in the past we have really liked him in like the Marvel films he came out in. I know
Yeah, King. It's King.
He was just starting to get momentum. A lot of controversy around him. We won't talk about it.
Yeah.
But I was pretty excited going into this because I know I've liked his, how he played Kane in the past. I think he's a really great actor.
We saw him in the Loki series as well. Yeah.
So I got to say, it was really interesting to see him headline this. And I will say he didn't disappoint me at all. We knew right away it was about bodybuilding. You know, he's struggling, has his own demons. We don't necessarily quite know what it is, but I got to say this is very, in-depth film. Goes over a lot of different topics, as he's wrestling with his own, like you say, demons, drug use and toxic masculinity. And, it's just a lot of things jam-packed into one. But I will say Jonathan Majors' performance was really spectacular in this one.
Yeah, this movie, I would say it's not even more so toxic masculinity, because we use that phrase a lot in movies and everything. Whatever. Okay, here's the thing that I'm going to say in this movie: obsessive masculinity. This movie is obsessive psychological masculinity movie.
Like obsessive to be perfect.
Yes, obsessive to be just the most perfect body. The biceps aren't big enough, and abs, and just everything. The arms, and looking at judges who are essentially, in a way, they're not bodybuilders by all means, but and you really get a sense of it to it all, where the tone is going. It's a very psychological movie. Jonathan Majors does, I have to say it, I have to admit it. And whether the controversy and everything, it's kind of weird how he's in a movie like this. But something I did not know, just to give a little backstory real quick. Initially slated for December 2023 release by Searchlight Pictures, the film faced delays during the legal issues with Jonathan Majors. So, which is understandable, because you don't want a movie, the character he plays doesn't help his case. It really doesn't. And so you get it really does it, because he plays
angry,
anger,
unhinged, a little bit, kind of
mental awareness. It really brings around what mental awareness, and it really focuses a lot on the obsessiveness of just being obsessed into bodybuilding, taking drugs. I mean, it wasn't painting a really good picture for him. And so, following his conviction for assault in 2023, Searchlight returned the distribution rights, and then this company acquired the film, and scheduled to release the 2025. So this movie was jumped around from Disney officially, and then it got switched over because of the allegations, and then the convicted and everything. So so we're not gonna go too much into legal troubles here, but we have to shed light, because we kind of ignore the facts of the history of the distribution of this movie. And so regardless, though, I know a lot of hate. There's a lot of people against this movie, and for your own right reason, that's fine. If you really don't believe in it, and because it's Jonathan Majors, that's your right, and that's totally fine. But to everyone who does want to see this movie and everything, I encourage watching this movie, because of the fact that he kills it as a performance. He does a performing act in this movie that I feel like that just sheds so much light, awareness, that just brings about something different I've never seen him do before. We've seen him do something similar aspect, not really though, in the psychological points. We see him do these masculine movies such as Creed, the last Creed with Michael B. Jordan. He was a killer in that. He was fantastic. And knowing that we see him really have this dramatic presence, I felt like I was very surprised. I was mesmerized how freaking amazingly built he freaking is. Like, he's so built. I was just like, damn,
he really
commitment.
Bulked up for this role, I swear. But I agree with you. I think his performance was just, you cannot not comment on that, because it was just so remarkable. And As much as you can have an opinion on the controversy around it, I will say I do appreciate his performance and everyone else's contribution to this. I know Jonathan Majors is the main headliner, but the rest of the cast was great too. I mean, it's really cool to see how this character, you know, essentially unravels in you know, on screen. And you say in his pursuit to be the perfect bodybuilder, to be memorable, to be all these things that he thinks comes with success, you know?
Exactly.
And it's a really interesting concept to see on screen. And
it's a dark side of it all.
It is a very dark side of fame and achieving fame and success and, you know, what you're willing to do to get there.
Yeah.
And people who are on the brink, like you say, of, you know, bad things. And it's a really interesting topic that I think he brings out a lot in, like, awareness, like you say, in this film. And I really appreciate that this type of film to kind of spark that mental awareness is kind of put out there. I mean, I always think these topics are really fascinating. I think a lot of people should learn more about it.
It's a very intense journey, and I really appreciate that a lot because it gives into a light of that. And I don't know, I really enjoyed this movie. Now, is this the best movie of the year? I would say no. There is a few pacing issues, I would say. For me, it was a little over 2 hours long, but I think 2 hours and like 3 minutes or so. I felt like you could have cut down maybe like 10 minutes around there because there's a lot of moments I was just like, I don't think it brought light into the movie, but that's not to say the acting skills of Jonathan Majors or anything, but a lot of this stuff was like more so of him adapting to society, and you really get a sense of that, and you really enjoy what it's weird to say, but you kind of enjoy his reactions to people and how they don't how it doesn't function in, and again it brings it back to mental awareness, how he doesn't function it correctly like we normally do. But the fact is that he does have a sickness, and he does have addiction, he does have a food disorder, he does have a lot of issues, and we really get into this raw dark side of it all, and I really love that, and it dives deep into that, the dark side of it, and yeah, I just leave it at that. But I really enjoyed this movie, and I feel like that anyone who doubts Jonathan Majors as an actor, you need to watch this movie. I mean, and if you didn't really enjoy him as Kang as much as we did, he was okay in Kang.
Creed, I think he was really
and he was great in Creed and everything, to really counterpart with Michael B. Jordan. And Michael B. Jordan, actually, despite the controversy surrounding it, you know, the lead actor Jonathan Majors, the film's upcoming release generates significant interest, with industry peers like Michael B. Jordan publicly expressing support and saying, quote unquote, that if he's in a movie, I'm down for it and stuff like that. So I really appreciate how Michael B. Jordan is supporting him, even despite the conviction, I guess, or in everything. But yeah. So
I will say also, again, I think the rest of the cast was great. I do agree with the pacing issues. I think it just kind of took a little bit to get to where it was going.
Yeah.
To really understand the character, it takes a little bit for him to kind of really unravel. And I think there were moments where it kind of picked up a little bit, but dragged. So it didn't have a consistent flow for me. I think that really is what stood out. Yeah. But again, nothing on any of the cast, actors, actresses. It was just, I think it just took a little long. I agree. It could have been maybe a little bit shorter to get to.
Yeah, it should have been a little bit. Yeah.
But again, I think it was overall a pretty solid film.
One of the things I do want to say as well, because Jonathan Majors did a variety press junket for it, and just like every other filmmaker, actor does, they get asked a lot of questions. And so, quote unquote, I did want to say this because I thought it brought awareness for one, and two, I feel like it's a quote that really stuck out to me a lot. And normally I don't do this, but I was like, you know what, I have to say it in the movie talk thing, was that quote unquote, Jonathan Majors says there's nothing wrong with masculinity. The issue becomes when it becomes toxic, and that's something that has to be looked at and examined. The thing about magazine dreams is that you kind of see how it happens, and I love that. I think that's a really good quote by Jonathan Majors, really understanding the project and really understanding the passion he had for this movie, for this part, because commitment to be that big and to be that built and everything. I mean, he was built already, like in Creed and everything, but to even keep that and make it maybe even get even more body built wise instead of boxer capabilities and everything. But
yeah, bodybuilding. Yeah, the whole time I was like, Arnold Schwarzenegger used to do this.
yeah. But all right, guys, rating 1 out of 10 to be the highest. When you give this, Angela, 1 out of 10.
I I will say the pacing issues did get to me a little bit. So it wasn't. I agree. It wasn't the best film of the year, but it's a pretty solid film. I would probably give it a 6.5, just because it did keep me entertained. But there were moments where it did lull a little bit. I did wish it kind of had more momentum in the beginning. It picked up the pace beautifully in the last half of the movie, but I think it just took too long to get there in the first half. So I do think that that affected it for me. I do think also it's maybe not a film for everybody.
No, yeah,
I think a lot of people might have issues with the timing and pacing.
I think
because it's not a lot of big action per se. Because there's a lot of definitely exciting moments, intense moments. But I do think it might not be everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you. I feel like that because of the timing and everything, and because I think the wounds and choice of opinion of people that feel like that, yes, I'm not going to support it. And I saw Twitter comments and I saw YouTube comments as well. Was the press junket for this was whenever there was videos or anything, of course, everyone's like, I'm not going to go see it because he hit a woman. And that's your own right. That's fine. I would say don't criticize people who do want to see this movie. I'll say that. You should never attack or criticize someone because they want to see a movie. You have your right just like everyone else does, but I'll leave it at that. But going into this, on a lighter note, I feel like on the way that it really portrayed the social anxiety and the social interactions, I appreciate that. I love that. I don't know why. I love how you really dive into someone who's just trying to figure it all out. And we feel very connected because us as human beings, when we try to interact, social anxiety, social interaction, sometimes it's not always good. Sometimes it's not always easy to really have that. And I love how they really brought awareness to that, because a lot of times, even more so, you can go deep dive into like speech stuff when you do presenting, you something you're not used to. So I really appreciate that a lot. And it really dives into that and really the pursuit of success, obsessive success. I
think it also
into
touches
it all. Yeah,
it touches on how do you say, the pressure to live up to expectations.
Huge pressure on himself, not by anyone else, but by himself.
Like I think we're all kind of guilty of this. We kind of impose
I am 100%
certain expectations of us, and if we don't live up to them, we just disappoint ourselves and kind of sometimes
dig our own hole.
Right. Yeah. And so I think also it was a lot of like, he wanted to live up to these, famous bodybuilders that he's kind of like idolized. He's wanting to live up to make his grandpa proud. It's a lot of that stuff. And I think a lot of people can relate to that on that aspect of just, self-imposed pressure, because we all have been there. Yeah,
I'm gonna give this solid 6.9, almost a 7 for me. It's a really good film, guys. Solid movie. I do recommend this movie if you have not seen it, and yeah, go check it out, guys. I mean, all I'm saying is that yes, in the end of the day, Jonathan Majors, he kills it in this performance. He really does, and he has the really good facial expressions on here. And I talk about a lot of facial expressions because I need to believe it, and he does it. Oh my God, he does it. A very, very delightful, and it's really good to see an actor really portray that and really just embody his character. And I feel like that he really played it very, very well. But all right, guys, thank you so much. Questions for you guys. Are you guys going to check out the Jonathan Majors new film, Magazine Dreams? Let us know in the comments down below. As always, I am your host, Ryan D. aka Ryan680.
I'm Angela, that Kelly Ange.
This is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. See you at the movies. Latest.